Just getting set up here on Facebook and on Instagram. Oh, how good is your business doing? Hi, y'all. Thanks so much for joining me. In less than 15 minutes, I'll be sharing with you the importance of answering that question for your business. Drop me a comment if you want to learn more. And I'm Dr. P. I'm a strategic business coach. I've been a school psychologist for about 10 years in K-12 schools in the US on both East and the West Coast. And I've served on committees in professional organizations, both nationally and internationally. And I've also been a part-time professor for our online graduate psychology program at the master's level, right? So I can say this, I have seen my share of needing to evaluate a program just so you can identify what is happening and what steps you need to take, right? Evaluating a program isn't about asking whether or not it's been successful. It also helps with a number of other things which I want to discuss today. That's why I asked that question. How good is your business doing? How do you know how to answer that question? I mean, seriously, how do you know if your business is doing well or not? You know, how do you know if you're meeting your targets, if you're exceeding your targets, if it's time for a change in your business? And how are you making those decisions? Because you have to be asking yourself those questions. Even how do you know whether or not now is a good time for you to be starting a new skill in order to reach the next target that you have? You know, how do you know these things? So that's where you have to be asking yourself these questions about what is going on in your business so that you can make those necessary steps and changes. And that's where this topic today comes in. And that's why I wanted to share it with you, because if you haven't asked yourself these questions yet, I highly recommend that you ask yourself these questions. Seriously, it is your business. You're the entrepreneur. You're the independent business owner. This is your business. So you really should be asking yourself these questions. Don't be afraid to ask yourself these questions, because sometimes we don't want to ask the question because we're afraid to find out what the result is. And maybe your business is not doing as well as you thought it was. And this is why you should ask yourself the question and really dig and see what the data is telling you, what the results are telling you, what your business is telling you about what changes you need to be making. Because you know why? You want your business to last. You don't want it to just last today. You want it to last. You want to be able to set up your business so it can be sustainable. So that it's not just around today, not just around tomorrow, but it's around for years to come. And that's why asking yourself this question, taking time to really sit and ask yourself questions about how well your business is doing, that's where this is going to come in handy. You know, really going and seeing where you are to really help you figure out where you want to be. So seriously, if you haven't asked yourself these questions, please do. It's really important, like I said, for the success and sustainability of your business. Which brings me to the topic, which I've kind of already touched on, is program evaluation. Program evaluation is important for your business. It really is. Because what I learned as a school psychologist is that I've seen schools implement so many different programs, right? Sometimes there was thought behind it. Sometimes I had questions as to why you were going that route. I've seen school districts implement so many different programs, not just for students, but for staff as well. And it really made me go like, why did they make that decision? And I've been on teams where we were a part of that decision making, and we had to look at the data in front of us. For the school, we were looking at the school-based data for those students, you know, not just individual students, but students by grade level, right? We're looking at all that information to see if the program we were thinking could be beneficial for the school, if it's going to be beneficial for the whole school or just a specific grade level. So you really had to sit and look at the data that we have. Then if you're looking at implementing something for staff, we really had to ask ourselves, is this something needed? How do we know that it's needed? Because, you know, being part of an organization, every year you fill out some type of evaluation to share how things have been going for you that year, or part of your performance evaluation, right? You talk about some things that you wish that you had. So believe it or not, I was part of our organizations where we actually looked at that, looked at what people said that they wanted that would give them more supports so that they felt supported to be able to do their business. to do their job, within the organization. So that's why, those things do come in handy when people look at those evaluations that you did. So it helps you to be collecting some data, because then you have a better understanding for whether or not the program you're going to be implementing is going to be necessary. And it also gives you an idea of what metrics you need to be looking at. What type of data are you going to be collecting? Because once you implement a program, you want to be able to evaluate it, right? You want to be able to see how that's going. And even in professional organizations, because when we have our members who fill out evaluation forms, especially after conferences or workshops, they share information about the things they liked, the things they didn't like. And it wasn't that those things just went into a bucket and fell by the wayside, right? No, we actually use that information to help guide decisions for the next conference or for the next workshop or for the next newsletter. Point is that whenever there was something that we wanted to do for our members in professional organizations, we looked at what information we were getting from them. So I guess by now you're kind of picking up on that trend that I'm going for. And that's the fact that you are looking at getting data from multiple sources to help you to be able to identify what is happening. So now as a business coach, I am continuing to use program evaluation to help my clients. And by the way, I also do it for myself as well, because a lot of things that I do, if not all, these are things that I do with myself and kind of like using myself as a guinea pig almost. And I do them with myself so that I can understand it and reap the benefits of it, as well as doing it with my clients to help them go through the process. Because there's nothing worse than somebody who tells you how to do stuff, right? And they've never done it before. And you're wondering, okay, how are you going to make that change? And that's where strategies and skills come into play. Because when you're teaching strategies, when you're teaching those skill sets, then you can share not only from your experiences, you can also share from research, you can share from outcomes from others to put it all together to make it meaningful for the person that you're working with. At least that's my take on it, being a business coach. So simply put, program evaluation is collecting data and information on all the activities and tasks that you've conducted in your business. And by the way, there's several types of program evaluations that are out there. Some of them include the needs analysis, the cost benefit analysis, the effectiveness efficiency studies, goal-based and process assessments, outcome evaluations. There's several different ones out there. For me as a business coach, though, the type of program evaluation I'm going to use with a specific client does depend on what information they're hoping to gain from it. Because at the end of the day, I don't want to be flooding someone with several different types of assessments, right? So that they, just for the sake of completing them, because you know what's going to end up happening? You're going to end up with so many pieces of information, so much data that you're not really going to know what to do with it. And guess what? You're probably not going to do anything with it anyways, because it's too much. So that's why it's important to know, kind of have an idea of what questions you're looking to get answered, because that helps with identifying which type of program evaluation could be most effective for you. And with the program evaluation, an effective program evaluation does include a systematic process, right? That allows you to collect the most meaningful data for your business to help you draw conclusions that will then lead to identifying the necessary solutions so that you can move forward. So that's where the benefit of the program evaluation lies. It lies in the fact that this is not something haphazard that someone should be doing for your business. This is something that should be systematic. And the person who is conducting that program evaluation for your business is helping you to see what conclusions can be drawn, and most importantly, what solutions are needed for you to take whatever the next steps for your business. So there are 3 benefits really of program evaluation. That's the overarching one, right? That's the big one that I wanted to share. But there are also some other benefits of evaluating your business, because again, you have a business, you want to keep your business. I know I want to keep my business. So a big chunk of that is making sure that I do evaluate my business ever so often, right? And being systemic in it, and I help others with that. So the three benefits that I wanted to share are, the first one is that by conducting the program evaluation, you can identify, and this could be a big one for a lot of you, right? You can identify how good a specific product or service that you released and how good that product or service is doing with your clients and your customers. Because come on, there are tons of times, right, that we sit and we're like, oh my gosh, this is going so well. Things are going great. You think everything is going great. But when you start to actually look at the numbers, look at your sales, you're like, this isn't going as great as I thought it was. Because if you're getting dings in your email every time a purchase goes through, you're getting those dings that your account is being credited, you could be thinking, oh my gosh, this product is doing great. This service is doing great, because you just think, oh my goodness, I keep seeing these dings, getting these notifications all day in my email about this bit, the purchase of this new product or service. But then if you take the time to actually sit and look at, when did you launch this new product or service, whatever is the time frame that you're looking at, whether you're looking at it by the week, by weekly, by the month, or even 6 weeks, whatever it is that you're using, whatever is your time frame, that you're looking at the sales that actually occurred with that. And even if you're collecting feedback, the type of feedback that people are giving you, your clients and your customers are giving you on that product and on that service. Because when you take the time to do that, now that's a whole different ball game, right? Now you actually got real data and information to make an informed decision on whether or not that's being successful, and if you can level up to the next step in, the product or service line that you have. So that's the first benefit. The second benefit is that with the program evaluation, the results can help you improve your efficiency and reduce your costs. And that might sound a little familiar for many of you, because that's like scaling, making sure you're doing what you're doing in your business efficiently while reducing costs. Because another thing that we are all guilty of is that we have this product, we have this service, we think it's doing great, it is awesome. Again, you're getting all the notifications of the sales and you see your bank account improve. But what is going in to actually producing that product or service? You see, that's where that cost is coming in. Eric, what is the cost associated with the materials and resources for you to be producing that product or that service? Those are things you also need to be bearing in mind, because that goes into play with your overall business. That goes into play with your budget, because your product or service could be doing awesome. You could be hitting your targets, hitting your goals for what you want to do. That's great. That's awesome for you. But at what cost? So when you have that evaluation of your business, that program, your business, right? Your business model, when you have that evaluation, you get to learn about if you can be more efficient and what costs you can be reducing. So then this brings me to my third one, and I kind of touched on it, is when you do the evaluation of that new program, for your services that you've released or for that new product, you get to actually verify if what you're actually doing is what you thought you were going to be doing in your business. Because again, the human mind is really funny, because we might be thinking it's doing great and it's not, or we might be thinking it's doing bad and it isn't. So when you do this evaluation of your business, you really get to find out, you really get to see whether or not what is happening is exactly what you thought was going to be happening. So there are really some important foundational steps in a program evaluation. And when you're getting your business evaluated, like I mentioned before, it shouldn't be haphazard. Whoever is doing that should be doing it systematically. And there are three things that I actually include when I'm doing that evaluation for my clients, right? And the first one is I identify key questions that are connected with the success of the business. Because at the end of the day, whatever evaluation you're doing, you have to have a guided process. Those are those questions that you want to have answers to, right? Then you also talk with members of the business. Sometimes it's just the entrepreneur. Other times it could be the entrepreneur and a small team. And you have to talk to those various persons within the business, because they're all connected with the success of the business. Then the third one is, how would the data address the questions that are identified? Because it's one thing to have the questions, another thing to collect the data. But if the data doesn't help you answer your questions, then you're going to run into problems. So these are just 3 of the 6 steps that I use when I'm conducting a program evaluation for someone's business to help give them those answers that they're looking for. And by the way, the process of evaluating your business is really connected to your vision, your mission, your goals of your business. They're all connected. So in short, what I want to share is this. When you get your business evaluated, the end result is going to be helping you get unstuck or helping you get over a brick wall so that you can level up, take your business to that next level, and to continue growth so that you can build a sustainable business that lasts for years to come. So message me if you want to get more information. Thank you so very much for joining me. Remember, solutions plus actions equals results. Bye, y'all.